Alright, here's another October 1983 release from Walt Disney Home Video, but with no mention of the Disney name on the front cover. This was Tex, another PG-rated film released the year Tron came out in 1982, and of course starring Matt Dillon, based on a novel by S.E. Hinton, who also wrote The Outsiders. Of course, the Disney name. What's also interesting is on the side of the case, Walt Disney is in the home video font. Very interesting, to say the least. And of course, the MPAA rating was hidden on the box, much like the Tron VHS. You got the label. And there's actually no print date, just the sticker. This was a former rental from a Tommy Case, that rental store I mentioned earlier. I got this in 2006. It was quite easy to get, though. I bet it's highly sought after, though, because I think Tex was released on DVD through Anchor Bay. It was one of the live-action titles that Disney gave to Anchor Bay to release on DVD. I could be wrong, though. But this tape, unlike the Tron tape, which supposedly doesn't open with the Neon Mickey logo, this actually does open with the Neon Mickey logo, and it includes the Buena Vista logo intact. Alright, here's another Disney VHS, but without the Disney name on the front cover. Trench Coat, starring Margot Kidder and Robert Hayes. And the cover touts that the VHS is in stereo. But unlike the other Disney video releases from around the time, there is hardly any mention... Sorry, voice is a little hoarse there. There is hardly any mention of the Disney name on the cover. Not at all. Of course, it still mentions it's in stereo. The film was a big flop in '83, and I think Siskel and Ebert called it one of the worst of '83, along with Staying Alive, Jaws 3, Smokey and the Bandit 3, and among others. I think it's on YouTube. Just punch it in. Just type it in. The only mention of the Disney name is on the video cassette, and I think this is the only home video release of this title. It was a flop film upon release in '83, and I got this at a store that was selling used videotapes, and it even has a print date on it. November 4th, 1984. But guess what? Oops. An unfortunate thing happened once I got home. No tape. This tape is broken. We tried to fix it, but we couldn't open the shell and take it apart. For some reason, it was really close shut. We tried to open it, but we couldn't. Maybe one day we'll try a little harder. We were going to tape that reel to, that reel. So I never saw the opening to this tape until, I think it was Mr. Servo Retro who uploaded it. And it showed that it just had the FBI warnings, albeit a little bit differently from that of the usual Disney videotapes. And it didn't have any Neon Mickey logo. Instead, it just opened with the Buena Vista logo and then straight to the film. I'd have to rewatch that opening. I forget exactly the way it opened. But yeah, that's Trench Coat. One of the only tapes in my collection that actually doesn't work. The other two are one copy of the '86 Sleeping Beauty VHS and my '86-'87 copy of Robin Hood. Oh well, what are you going to do? Alright, we're looking at the original video release of Kidnapped from November 1983. And I actually watched this. It's a pretty good film. I'll have to rewatch it, though. I don't really remember much of it, but it was pretty good. And this is pretty cool. The original writer of the novel, Robert Louis Stevenson. The director of the film was Robert Stevenson, who also directed other Disney live-action films. Nice coincidence there. And it was still in the for sale only, not intended for rental days. Let's take a look at the tape. Premiere Video. Wonder where they were located. No, I didn't get this from a rental store in my hometown. I got it in a store that sold used VHS tapes and DVDs, and I made 3 trips to there in 2007. And this was one of them, and they came from different places, and the print date on here is October 25th, 1983. I do wonder, I think this title probably is on DVD, or maybe not. I gotta check. Alright, here's a mix-up title. The original video release of Fun and Fancy Free, a 1947 package feature featuring Bongo and Mickey and the Beanstalk. It's a pretty decent film. I think Mickey and the Beanstalk is a much stronger segment than Bongo. That's just me, though. Notice how Mickey and the Beanstalk is like the main attraction here. It's like the title is huge compared to Fun and Fancy Free. It's Mickey and the Beanstalk. I guess that was the main selling point. And, you know, you got the back here with the cast. This was originally released on video in November 1982, but the copy I have inside is that of a 1985 pressing. And how do you know? Look at the font for home video. It's in that kind of bubbly font rather than the more, you know, I don't know how to describe that font. This one's a little more like, this one looks a little more 80s like. Look at the way the E is. And you might think, well, what's the real difference? But us Walt Disney home video collectors, you know, we search for the little variations, even down to the tiniest details. That's how we, you know, search when we collect Disney videos. We go down to the tiniest of details, even down to details where it's just small text on the tape label. And the print date on this tape is December 13th, 1984. Print date, you know, it's kind of faded on the tape. You can hardly see it. Also, no Walt Disney Home Video logo on the inside of the box. Same thing with my Last Flight of Noah's Ark VHS. Interesting. Alright, here's the VHS of The Boatniks, a 1970 Disney comedy film. This was the first Disney VHS, I think, to have that, you know, to start having home video in that font. And these also would have the 1983 Walt Disney Home Video logo. The updated Neon Mickey logo that I showed in the introduction. Like I said, let's do a little side-by-side comparison here. Here's Kidnapped from 83, and here's Boatniks from around late 84, early 85. Of course, home video is in a different font than home video on this one. And it would be like that for the rest of Walt Disney Home Video. No longer would they use this font. And of course, like I explained earlier, us collectors, we look at the minor little differences and details. Here's the tape, the label, and the print date, March 29th, 1984. And funny thing is, they're not using hyphens, they're using equal signs between the numbers. But what I find weird is that a majority of these titles with the, you know, where it says home video on that font, were issued in the spring of 1985 as like reissue titles. You know, Walt Disney Home Video clearing out more of their inventory and re-releasing their titles for old time's sake. But I guess this was one of the first of its kind. I'm going to say around late 84, early 1985, or maybe this is just a really early printing. I really don't know. It came with a nice bonus. First, a brochure, and it also came with, let me get this out of the tape carefully, a business reply card. Of course, nobody wrote on it. Yep, that was their address. And here we got the brochure. This is new for 1984, and it also has an activity section for the kids. And you got your table of contents and what's available here on Walt Disney Home Video. Of course, you got Tex and Tron as the main attractions here, and it mentions that Tron got an ITA Golden Video Cassette Award because, of course, Tron became a big hit on video after it underperformed at the box office. That's where it found a new audience. You got Trenchcoat, another main attraction here. You got Dumbo, which was also an ITA Golden Video Cassette Award winner. Oops, sorry about that. Something Wicked This Way Comes. I've read the book, but I haven't seen the film. A Walt Disney Christmas, Darby O'Gill and the Little People, Babes in Toyland. Storybook Classics, The Wind in the Willows, and Fun and Fancy Free, of course. Again, Mickey and the Beanstalk is in a big font. It's the main attraction. The Legend of Sleepy Hollow, which is part of, Ichabod, The Adventures of Ichabod and Mr. Toad. Three Caballeros. American Heroes. I gotta track down that tape. And cartoon classics, including Volume 1, Chip and Dale with Donald Duck, Volume 2, Pluto, and Volume 3, Scary Tales, which I have. And this is the fun center for the kids. And, I got different sections here that open up. You got little games here. And this is all in great condition. And a little maze game here. More cartoon classics. Volume 4, Sport Goofy. Volume 5, Disney's Best of 1931 to 1948. There's the Ugly Duckling there. Silly Symphony. The Cat from Outer Space. The Shaggy Dog. Condor Man. I actually want to watch that. I heard it's supposed to be really campy. So yeah. Absent-Minded Professor. Freaky Friday, the original, of course. The remake is also, the remake is very well known. Snowball Express, The Devil and Max Devlin. Watcher in the Woods, which I need to get a copy of. Night Crossing, The Great Locomotive Chase. And Old Yeller, Justin Morgan Had a Horse. There's a couple of volumes of that tape, actually. I've seen copies of it before. The Sign of Zorro, Johnny Tremaine and the Sons of Liberty, Treasure Island, Kidnapped. A lot of titles here. Pollyanna, Swiss Family Robinson, The Last Flight of Noah's Ark, The Black Hole, Blackbeard's Ghost, The Island at the Top of the World. Yep, based on Jules Verne. Story by Jules Verne, much like 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea. And your souvenir videos from Disney World and Disneyland and the theme parks. You got Epcot Center, A Dream Called Walt Disney World, and A Day at Disneyland. I hope to get these souvenir films sometime soon. And also available on Laserdisc. Little card there. A mailing there. Finally, on the very back, Mary Poppins. Notice how the Walt Disney logo is a little slanted up from home video. It has the stock numbers and everything. And this brochure is, of course, from 1983 because it's advertising new for 1984. So it's a very interesting, bonus that came with this tape of the Boatniks. That was pretty lengthy. Alright, here's the original VHS release of The Prince and the Pauper. This was a two-part special on the Disneyland television series around 1961 or 1962. Then it was edited together to make a full-length feature, much like the Davy Crockett films, and released worldwide. I don't think it ever got a US release, but it was released on cassette. And of course, like all the Walt Disney Home Video titles with that font, it's from the spring of 1985. There's your tape. It's in pretty good condition too. And the print date is December 19th, 1984. And I got this at my local rental store, the Tommy K's, that was closing down in October 2006. Alright, here's The Parent Trap, the original, because a lot of people know the remake, but this is the original Parent Trap. Also a spring 1985 video release. Of course, Haley Mills. And we got the tape. Is there a print date? Yep. Print date is July 5th, 1985. Alright, here's Winnie the Pooh and Friends, featuring 4 short films, Winnie the Pooh and the Day for Eeyore, and 3 bear-themed short films, including Hold That Pose with Goofy, and an early version of Humphrey the Bear. Well, some people say it is. Hooked Bear and In the Bag are both Humphrey cartoons, and they're pretty amusing. There's Humphrey. There's the bear that Goofy encounters in Hold That Pose. It's said to be an early version of Humphrey. Anyways, this isn't a Cartoon Classics release, even though it's a collection of short films. Label. I got this at that same local Tommy K's rental store that was closing in 2006, and the print date on here is September 23rd, 1984. Also, the opening credits to Winnie the Pooh and A Day for Eeyore on here are significantly different from, the regular version. They're a little bit different. Alright, here's another mix-up tape in my collection. What I mean by mix-up tape is a later version of the tape is in an earlier package. Happens sometimes. This is Herbie Goes to Monte Carlo, which is the 3rd Herbie movie in the series. Beta. But look at the tape. This is that of a 1985, 1986 pressing with the blue bars on the top and on the bottom of the Walt Disney Home Video logo. So that means this tape is a late 1985 printing, but in a 84-85 box. The print date is August 8th, 1985, so that pretty much proves it. This is one of those mix-up prints. I have a Walt Disney Classics release of Robin Hood that's the 1984 case, but with a 1986 tape inside. Quite a mix-up, isn't it?